Welcome to Slash Cards, the podcast where we bring context to snowboarding concepts through short conversations. Today is a freestyle episode. We're coming to you with ATML, otherwise known as Approach, Takeoff, Maneuver, and Landing, otherwise known as a freestyle teaching model. And it's used, as a canvas to describe what your student, your rider is going to be doing before, during, and after a freestyle move on a feature or over a feature. Tom?
Yeah, and you're always using ATML. Doesn't matter if we're going into a rail, a jump, half pipe, but yeah, we're using an approach. We're using that same model going into any feature that we have. And
Did I say the definitions? Sorry to cut you off like that.
No, you're good.
Did I say what ATML stands for?
Not yet. We were just kind of working on the description of them. But, well, lead us off. Approach, Tyler.
So approach, the approach phase. This is the phase in which the rider aligns themselves with the feature, sets the orientation of takeoff, and attains the appropriate speed for the intended maneuver. These are the book definitions, by the way.
So that's when I'm going in to my jump, if I have a jump, or going in, setting up, riding into the half pipe, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's before I get to that designated jump, right?
Yeah.
A few setup turns coming in, or if it's a straight line.
Eyes on the target.
That's what I'd be doing in my approach, right?
Awesome.
What's next? Takeoff?
The takeoff, the T. In the takeoff phase is where the rider sets the trick into motion. Using the skills of pop and spin, there may be a pre-wind and or setup turn and or edge alignment needed in order to initiate movement for the trick. The actual liftoff or separation between the rider and the snow comes at the very end of the takeoff phase. So if you can imagine, it's, the movements you make to ride up and pop off of the little lead up onto your rail or over the jump.
So the takeoff is what you just said. It's the jump. It's from where the feature starts to form, where it goes from very little lip or edge to that big defined edge. It's what am I doing going up that takeoff? If I'm going to spin backside and I like spinning backside off my toes, am I maybe starting into my toe side carve, right? Coming up that takeoff. So that's part of that setup that that mentioned in your definition there. Yeah. And the takeoff is a defined, specific little bit of a zone there. Maneuver phase, Tyler?
Gotcha, the maneuver phase. This is where the rider maintains and builds upon the actions set in motion in takeoff phase, conserving momentum, increasing or decreasing momentum, and redirecting body positions come into play to complete the trick. Also, very important in the maneuver phase, you got to spot the landing.
Yep.
You got to spot your landing.
So you got to use, at some point in time, maneuver, start to look into that landing phase. We're not usually in the maneuver phase looking to our takeoff phase, but we're in that maneuver phase looking to our landing there. And the maneuver, just like you're saying, it could be a grab, it could be a spin, it could be any sort of movement that you do in the air.
Awesome. And then last but not least, the landing phase. The book thanks gravity here. What goes up must come down, and a rider will land. How riders land is predetermined by the skills they apply and how well they apply them during the prior phases. Riders need to manage the impact from landing. At the end of the landing phase, they begin to reorient themselves for their next approach.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you're riding a jump line, you have to make sure you're coming out of one. After you land, you're line yourself into the next jump if you landed successfully, or if you're riding in a half pipe, or you're in a slope course, or you're in a succession of features. That's usually when you're coming out of that landing and you're looking to line yourself up for the next one. But here's the fun questions, Tyler. You ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
What's your favorite grab maneuver?
My favorite grab maneuver? I wish I knew the exact name of it, but it's my front hand through the wickets to my heel edge.
Through the
Yeah,
wickets
can
to
you
the
picture
heel edge.
that? So it's not my toe edge, it's my heel edge.
Not your toe edge, it's the heel edge.
It's got like chicken salad
I say
or
it's chicken salad because roast beef is backhand through the legs, correct?
something like that.
I think
I
so.
don't know. You're making me hungry.
Yeah.
I was actually just thinking some of our friends are going to be calling the landing phase the after bang.
After bang.
Yeah, have you ever heard that one?
Yeah, when you really steeze it out.
Steeze it out.
Yeah.
The after bang phase.
Squat it out.
Tom, what's your favorite spin?
Favorite spin?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm a sucker for a frontside spin.
Yeah.
Or a backside 180. If I'm in the 180s, it's backside one. But if I'm more than one, it's a frontside spin.
Gotcha. Do you do your front sides off your toes, your heels?
Frontside off my heels.
Nice. Classic.
You?
Classic guy. Toes all the way. It's kind of superhuman that you can jump off your heel. You know, there's a lot of momentum at play to make you rotate. I still think
helps me a lot.
I think it's impressive that you're getting off the ground with your heels.
Snowboard helps me a whole lot.
Tom, do you have anything more on ATML? This is a pretty cut and dry one, in my opinion.
Cut and dry. I don't know, it's a pretty good topic to make you want to go snowboarding. Yeah, it's one I can't wait to come back to. In ATML, I find myself always predominantly coaching that approach phase all the time. That's usually where I'm harping on it if I have to think about it.
That's a really
coaching.
good
Because if I feel, to me, if I mess up my approach, I'm going to make my takeoff harder, I'm going to make my maneuver harder, and I'm definitely going to make my landing harder. So I, as a coach, and I give people things to think about, I'm usually always pretty focused on the approach, just to keep somebody comfortable, because we're always making turns or straight lined in somewhere. The takeoff, maneuver, landing, that's something out of the ordinary that we're doing. So for me, I'm usually kind of jumping to that approach to hammer home a little bit more. But
what I was going to add is something Tom started off this episode saying, is that this is something I will bring out for my students, whether it's their first time hitting a dance floor box or their first time trying to hit an urban on rail, something like that. Is approach, takeoff, maneuver, and landing is always going to be broken out. I think it provides a great framework to describe to our students what's expected of them to perform the maneuver they want to do, both to actually do it and to do it safely. So it's something to use always, from beginners to your more advanced students.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I'll always kind of break down when I'm giving my directions. It's like, oh, did I give them every piece? I got to think about in my brain. Oh, yep, I get hit the approach, hit the takeoff, hit the maneuver. Yeah, give them the landing bits that they're going to need to know. I'm going to watch them, and then I'm going to start to hone in on each. And I'll use that ATML in my directions, I'll use it in my MA, and I'll use it in my feedback as we're cruising through.
Well-rounded. Gang, that's it for ATML, the approach, takeoff, maneuver, and landing. Keep shredding. See you next time.
Yeah, enjoy. The content heard has come from current manuals, past and present, and are being used to create conversations and further understanding. This content should not be used instead of your resort trainer, but rather should be used with your resort trainers to further everybody's knowledge as they're going and create understanding for all. So please enjoy, share.